Do I really have to intro this? This is a part 2 of the series, which I already kind of introed in the first part, so yeah, I guess let's just go into part 2. And so let's look at where we left off last time. If I hit play, see, awesome, we're just a normal third-person controller, but if I hit P, I'm an independent camera that can be used for screenshots, right? And that's super cool, right? And if I hit P again, yeah, now I'm back here. Now there's the thing where we want to create a HUD where the player can change settings like vignette and bloom and a couple of other stuff. So we're gonna have to develop that this episode. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the content browser. And we're gonna create a new user interface. It will be a widget blueprint. We'll call this VPP camera mode HUD. That's cool. And then we'll just open it up. What we'll do is we're just gonna drag in a border. We're gonna go to the brush color, and we're just gonna turn down the alpha to 0. It means it won't be visible. What we want to do is we'll go to the anchors and click this block, which means if I go and type 0, 0, 0, and 0, that means the player won't be able to click back in the scene. We'll have to hide the HUD, which is how I like it to be. Of course, you can change it to fit your preference. This video isn't really a design guide on how to use the widget blueprints. I mean, there's a lot of other YouTubers that handle this way better than I do, and this is just to get the basic camera system up and running to actually change the settings. So what we're gonna do is we're also gonna add another border to the canvas panel, and this border we're gonna go and click on that. You want to change its anchor to the right side. And then you want to go and set the position to -600. And yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna set the size to 600 on X and the size Y to 1080. It's cool. Now we're gonna go to the brush and we're gonna change the brush colors alpha down to a 0.3. And then we're gonna click on the brush color and just completely turn it black. So it just makes a cool tint when this menu slides out. So how we're gonna do that? How we're gonna slide out the menu? Well, we're gonna go to the animations tab at the bottom left, create a new animation. We'll call this move. You can just open that up and add a track. While you're selected on this new border we created, you want to go and border canvas slot panel. And then you want to click on track and you want to click on layout data offset. And you want to open that up. And what you want to do is you want to put that to 0, the left offset. Then you want to click this circle here in the animation track, which will add a keyframe. Then you want to drag that to 0.5 seconds. And you want to change the left to -600. So if I go and hit play, you can see this is the slide out animation it does, which in my opinion looks pretty cool actually. And then what you want to do is we're gonna go and create a new slider. You can drag that into the border, and this slider will handle the bloom. So we'll just also add a text component to the border. Oh, no, that's not what we want to do. You actually want to go and add a scroll box, which means you can infinitely scroll down the bar, which is what we want. You want to add that to the new border. And now we can add anything we want to this scroll box. So we're going to add a slider. We're going to add text, the scroll box. Then we're going to sort the slider under the text box. And you can see here we have this set up already. It doesn't look too good, but it doesn't look too bad. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this text block, scroll the way up to the content, and we're going to name this Bloom. Alright, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna click on the slider. The slider, we're gonna change its settings. Really just make it a thicker bar. So you want to go to Style. And then you want to go to the normal thumb image. Just want to open that up. And we're gonna change its tint to completely white. And then you want to go to the bar thickness. We're actually gonna set this, I think 10 really looks pretty well. This normal thumb image, I'm actually gonna set this to 20 by 20. And that's looking pretty cool. You can close that down and you want to go to the normal bar image. I'm gonna set this to completely white. But the hovered bar image I'm gonna open up and I'm gonna make us a grayish color, which is looking cool. So here's a bar. We can adjust the value to adjust the bloom. I'm actually gonna go to the text bloom. I'm gonna go to the font and scaled up to about 50. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then we're gonna just go to the slider, rename it to bloom slider. And before we can actually go and add animation and all that, we have a problem. So when we want to add post-processing effects, we're gonna have to go and input the right minimum and maximum value. So how do we know what's the right minimum and maximum value? Well, you go to your BP photo mode controller, go to the camera, and then you just want to drag out this details. You want to scroll down till you see what setting you want. You can actually search in the details for something like bloom. And then what I want to adjust is I want to adjust the intensity. So that means, okay, the minimum intensity is 0, the maximum is 8. Now I know that. So I can reset this value by clicking this arrow, click out of intensity, and I can just leave that alone. Which means now I know, okay, the minimum value is 0, but the max value is 8. So we have that sorted out. Now I can go, click on the bloom on the side, click Ctrl W, and click on the bloom side and click Ctrl W. And now I can just sort this over again. Now this bloom I can name something else like vignette, which is, yeah. This bloom slider, we're gonna actually go and right click it and rename it to vignette slider. That's perfect. Okay, just compile save. Now the vignette slider is also different because it actually doesn't have a minimum value of 0 and 8 of a max value. So you want to go to your photo mode controller again, go to the camera, and then you want to go and search the setting you want. We want to change the vignette intensity, minimum, maximum. So we know the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 1. It's going to reset, take that off, compile, save. Go back to the camera mode, HUD, and now we know it's a value from 0 to 1. Now we know that, we can go and start adjusting these values. Of course, these are only 2 values, they're not really a lot. You can add as much as you want by just using the simple method of go checking what setting you want to change, the minimum and maximum value. You can just adjust it to your heart's content. But for this tutorial, we're only going to do 2 settings. So we're going to go to your graph. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on our bloom slider here in the variables. And go all the way down to events and click on value changed. You also want to go to your vignette slider and click on value changed. And what we're going to do is we're going to use an event dispatcher. And this event dispatcher is an event that can call anything that's subscribed to it or binded to it dynamically. So if I assign something in begin play, it will actually keep track of the event being called and still use it to cast an event. There's I know it's really confusing to explain, that's why I'm gonna do it so you can actually really understand what it's about. But before we can do that, you want to go to the left side, hit the event dispatches, you want to press plus, and we're gonna name this value changed. I just wanna drag this out and call it. Just plug in the execution pins. Now this value change, you want to go to the inputs and click plus and plus. So you want to make both of these a float, because the float values we're adjusting. First one's going to be bloom, and the second one will be vignette. I can compile and save. Now there's gonna be an error. This call value change, you want to right click and refresh nodes. When that happens, and then you want to drag in the value of the bloom and the vignette. You can compile and save. Now that we have the event actually casting, how are we actually going to send this data to the camera so it can change itself? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We're going to go to the photo mode controller, click out of this details, and we're actually going to go create a new, or not create a new one, here at the bottom there should be, a begin play. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create widget. This class will be the camera mode HUD, and this return value we're just gonna go and add to viewport, and this is return value also gonna go and click on context sensitive again if you don't have it on. Promote to a variable. We're just gonna name this the HUD, and when it's done renaming there, you just want to go and you want to drag off the HUD and get the value change. You want to bind event to value change. Now what this means is if this event call value changed is ever called, that's actually going to inform this event, and that the event's actually going to work. Even though it's in begin play, it's actually constantly going to listen, which is what we want. So we can drag off this event and make a new custom event. Add custom event. We'll name this PP actually post process. And what's also about this, if you drag off the event delegate, it will actually add the values to the custom event. It's important to note, if you're going to add extra values after the tutorial, you want to refresh this node, and when you come back here you want to refresh this node till all the values show correctly. Now we actually want to adjust the camera's settings. How are we going to do that? Well, simple. We're going to drag off the camera from the components tab. I'm going to drag off here and set post process settings. Now we're going to get the set node, and there's one problem, right? You'd want to split this, but if you split it, you actually break the node. The node doesn't understand how it should work anymore, which is actually pretty funny. So we can't do that. We're gonna go the set post process settings. And what you want to do is you want to drag off this post process settings and call make post process settings. Then you want to drag in the execution pin. Now the thing is, if you click on this down arrow, you see there's no post-processing settings to change. This is where the fun part comes in. Here we can see we have a bloom and vignette we want to change. So you can change any setting here, in fact. That's why I'm not gonna add that much settings, because I can infinitely add settings. Like, look at all these settings. You can add every single one, and it's the same process, really, just make a value, switch it over with this event. Yeah, it's the same thing. So, but for now, we're just gonna go search for the details, search for bloom, and we're gonna go to lens bloom, and then we want the intensity to show as a pin. And then another thing we want is the vignette. So we go to vignette, and you want to set the vignette intensity to a pin as well. So now these are pin values that we can actually adjust. So you can go drag the bloom and drag the vignette, and boom! Now you have the bloom and vignette set up, ready to go. They'll actually adjust the value. Now just have to think, right? When the HUD appears, it's not gonna be on screen, thanks to this animation we created. It's supposed to fly into the screen. So how we fix that is we're gonna go create a new event. Yeah, custom event, and this will be move anim to play the move animation. The drag from the side, this animations. If it isn't open, you can just open it like that. Drag the move, get that, play animation. And we're not gonna directly play this animation. We're gonna go and add a flip flop, which means that it will cycle between these two. We don't have to worry about writing too much extra code to verify it. It should just work out at the end. So let's play animation. We're just gonna make it play forward, and then with flip flop, we're just gonna copy this play animation with Control W. Then we're gonna connect B to play animation, but we're gonna make it play in reverse because it's going back in. And while we're here, we actually want the player's input to be stopped, right? We don't want the player to move around in the maps. Like, we want the player to be able to click with his mouse on the UI. So how do we do that? If we put the animation to play the move in, we're gonna go and drag off this execution pin, UI, set, UI, and set input mode UI only, which means it will only work on the UI. This in mouse lock mode, you want to lock always. Because we don't want the camera or the mouse to go outside of the window. So player controller, you're gonna go and drag to this event, which means that we've created a new input that we're gonna have to assign. And here at the play anim, we're just gonna set input game only. And then we're just gonna plug in this player controller. And yeah, that's about it there. Just compile the save. Now we're gonna have to call this event from the BP photo mode controller. So what we're gonna do is here above in the camera mode, we're just gonna go and add a new input event for, I think we named it show/hide HUD, yeah. And when this is pressed, we're just gonna go take our HUD variable and call the event move anim. And the player controller, because we're just copying all the code through and through, which means we don't have to do consistent casts, you just drag in the player controller. And I could compile and save that. And this should work. I believe it should work. I really hope it does. If we go to new map, the thing is, you can hit play, right? So we can hit play, we can hit P, and yeah, we're in photo mode. We can. Yeah, it isn't really working as intended. That's because I actually did make a mistake. The set input mode UI only in the VPP camera mode HUD. You don't want it to be input mode UI only. You want to make it game and UI mode, which means it will listen to the hide and show HUD button, but it will still be able to interact with the HUD. Just want to hook up the player controller back up there. And mouse lock mode is lock always, hide cursor during capture, no. And the thing is, you also want to go to your designer. And here's the problem, this border scroll box, you want to click on the border. So we have this border selected. You actually want to set the position to 0. So it will be hidden when the player activates camera mode. So you just save that. And if we go to the oh no, shouldn't go to the graph. While you're on the border, you want to scroll down to behavior, click on this render opacity behavior, and here this when you click down there, you'll see there's a cursor option. You want that on default, and the problem is you're gonna have to turn this on for every single one we want the cursor to show on. So yeah, bit of annoying, but yeah, just gonna go awesome. And I also want to put that on the border we created here. So just want to go to behavior, cursor default, compile, save, and that should be it. That should be able to just go new map, hit play, and if I hit P, yeah, it doesn't bring up the HUD. Now if I press F, awesome. Now I can fly around. When I press F, I have my cursor out. That's super cool. What's awesome is now I can go and adjust the bloom, the character, adjust the vignette. So that's super cool, right? And you can adjust this for any setting you want. There's nothing really special about this. I mean, adding every single input you want is the same process. It's also important to note that certain graphics quality settings don't have certain effects. So engine scalability settings, for example, vignette does not work on the low post-processing setting. And that's important to note. Certain post-processing effects just won't work on certain graphics settings. So that means it won't show for certain certain players because they have older or lower end hardware, which isn't bad. Of course, you need to provide multiple scaling options because not everyone has a beefy computer. That's important to note. So it's just important to, like I said, it's just important to note that not every post-processing setting is available for every graphics setting. So now we're actually going to go add the screenshot effect, or not the effect, the actually screenshotting. So you want to go and it's weird. Oh, okay, yeah. Just want to go and create a new input action. Not a new one. You want to use the take screenshot one. Let's take screenshot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna scroll down and get the HUD, and then we want to go and set its visibility. It just deleted it. That's funny. You just want to keep it hidden, and then what you want to do is you want to drag out again, get HUD, and you want to set visibility, and it should be visible again. Now in between this setting visibility, you want to go and you want to execute a console command. So execute console command, and I want to plop that in, and the command will be high res shot 1. You can just compile and save. Now it's important to note that you can't actually run this in the editor. If you do, it's actually going to take multiple high resolution screenshots, which is not what we want. So to fix that, you just want to click on the 3 dots next to the play, click standalone game, and save selected. And just take its time loading the assets, getting everything ready, getting everything to go. You'll see awesome camera and the UV5 logo. Now it's just loading up the game. Classic loading game stuff, really. And now it's done loading. If I hit P, can fly around, press F, and can adjust the bloom and the vignette, and then I can press X. You see in the bottom right, high resolution screenshot. Can click on the link to that, and it's just gonna load up. Load now, okay. You should see now, if I open up here, boom, it actually took this screenshot. And it's looking pretty cool, actually. That's it for now. Next part, we're gonna add the resolution scaling, also the cool green screen effect. But here you already have the basic camera system. You can already take really cool screenshots here, add really cool features to this. You can customize this like you want. But without further ado, guys, hit like if you liked the video, hit dislike if you didn't, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And then finally, good nights and see you guys next part.